And joining us now, we are joined by Mike Allan. He is the Vice President of Business Development and Licensing with Certis Biologicals. Mike, great to catch up with you again, sir. Hope you're doing well.
Good to see you, Jesse.
Thanks for joining us, Mike. And that title I mentioned is a new title for you with Certis Biologicals. And I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about some of the work that Certis is doing with Novozymes as well, looking at different products for row crops like corn and beans. I think just to start, and maybe I'll do this out of order, but talk to me a little bit about your new role, and I'm sure very excited about taking over this role with Certis here, Mike.
Indeed, it is a new role for myself within Certis. It's also a new role entirely within Certis. And so coming into this is really born out of the need as well as the exposure we've had with so many different companies and technologies that do come to us. And really the right and the ability to evaluate those expeditiously is key. And so is what we've done in the past is to look at these more singularly as a component across many different folks within the organization. And so the decision to bring it all in and then have one person, in this case myself, to kind of lead and guide that internally within the groups that we have and expertise that we have within Certis, in the hopes and desire to be able to drive a quicker turnaround on new things and delivering those things to the grower.
Well, and thinking about delivering those things to the grower, talking biologicals, I mentioned this as well at the top. Partnership here announced this year with Certis and Novozymes, looking at row crops, corn, beans. Talk a little bit about that partnership, Mike. Let's dive into that some more and how this came about and some of the products that you guys are looking at here that growers need to think about heading into 2023.
So it's really, Novozymes is a good example. There are other examples that we have of the companies that we are focusing on. When you consider biologicals and Certis Biologicals with this dedication to biopesticides, we focused primarily in the first 20 years of our existence, really in the specialty side of the market. And in that, it served as a good platform for the learning the tools and the processes to educate and to create adoption of biologicals into a cropping system. And so we're now expanding and removing the obstacles and barriers that have really kept biopesticides out of that row crop space. Not that biologicals as a whole have not been in row crops, because they,
Mhm.
when you consider seed treatment and soil inoculants and nitrogen fixation and P solubilization, those are all things that have been within the row crop industry. And so there is an exposure there, there is an understanding of the value added. This next step is really about finding ways to communicate to the end user that there is that there's new ideas, that there's new ways in terms of delivering better disease and pest control that also incorporate a sustainability message, an alliance that allows for soil health and creating a holistic approach that not only looks at bios for disease control, but also enhancing conventional chemistries, as well as creating a platform that provides better plant health and better yields and ability to do the things which growers do best, which is produce food for the world.
Definitely, definitely. Well, and as growers think about, going into 2023, obviously they're looking at the cost of inputs and they're looking at their return on investment, and they look at different biologicals and they look at some of these products that Certis is developing with Novozymes and other folks here. Talk to me a little bit, what would you say to a grower when they're thinking about that ROI going into next year? Why should they look at using some of the different biological products that you guys have on tap?
Well, when you consider how we grow crops, and when you consider um, the impact of environmental conditions that have been highly variable over the years and up and over the past several years, and they're not getting any better in understanding how do we influence and how do we grow the most nutritious crops? How do we grow the most high yielding crops that we can under these changing conditions? This is where biologicals really do play and create a platform that incorporates the ability of the plants to uptake nutrients out of the soil, to capture nitrogen from the atmosphere, to be able to respond to stresses, whether that be heat or cold, or disease and insect pressures. And bios have a unique ability to capture that and to be able to deliver um, that result or that reaction within the plant, which then further enhances the ability of conventional chemistries to also work better. And keep in mind that we're always concerned about resistance management, and bios have a way, because of their different mode of action, to be able to deliver a longevity towards conventional chemistries that may be problematic or may be issuing impacted from resistance issues in the field.
Well, a lot of things to think about, a lot of things to consider, Mike. If growers are thinking about some of the products out there, they're looking at corn, soybeans, maybe specifically. What would you say as far as them learning more? I would think going online, certisbio.com, a local retailer. I'm sure there's a lot of ways to learn more about what you guys have in the lineup heading into next year. Is it there?
There's a lot of things in the pipeline, and certainly the certisbio.com is a good starting point. We are active in many different organizations and with different industry groups. We are available to be able to share this information and details to at conferences or within local distribution retail locations. We have an extensive distribution system set up that we can reach a grower and or growers with any region with our sales and technical folks that are in the field, and we're happy to do that. That's part of gaining adoption is not just about Certis products. It's about the concept of how biologicals today have a fit, and that there are many tools that can be added to a grower's toolbox simply with the adoption and introduction of bios within their IPM programs.
Mike, great thoughts. Before I let you go, anything else you'd like to mention, share, reiterate with our listeners before we run out of time today?
I think that it's an exciting time within Certis. We are dedicated to biologicals, which means we're also dedicated to finding solutions that help the grower. And we will do that day and night with trying to incorporate new technologies and to work with partners that are willing and acceptable to understand how biologicals can enhance the grower's ability to succeed.
Well, and again, you can learn more online, certisbio.com. With that, Mike Allan, Vice President of Business Development and Licensing with Certis Biologicals. Appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us today, and we will look forward to talking to you again soon.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jesse.